Hey, Shalom, Akim, Shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praises and glory and honor that's due to Yahweh, Bahashim Yahweh Shai, Bahashim Rakakwadash. I'd like to give double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone. Peace and blessings and salutations to the hopeful elect. Noah's in the gospel abroad, lifting up the standard of Yahweh, Bahashim Yahweh Shai, wherever it may be. This is a quick lesson. War drums are beating. Okay, the prophets have been speaking, and the word of the Lord is speaking. This is what I found, and brothers have been doing lessons on it. They beat me to the lessons on it. But it says a top Russian official just quoted the book of Revelation to describe America's soon fate. Okay, and if we understand the scriptures and the holy scriptures, what we've been teaching out of for the last years or so, the time we've been in the truth, I should say that way. But we know we've been going into prophecy mainly. Okay, mainly the men in our particular camps, we go into prophecy. That's like 90% of the doctrine we teach is the end times, because hey, we're in the time of the end, and the Lord said He will raise up prophets in Babylon. Okay, so what's happening is Esau, he sees the writing on the wall. Okay, and this is a dire warning to you people of Babylon the Great, which is America and the rest of the world in the Western or the Western Hemisphere, which consists of Great Britain, Germany, France, Australia, Austria, Canada, Spain, etc. Okay, the Edomite conglomeracy of this beast system. This is a dire warning to you because the Lord said He was going to bring down your habitations and your strongholds with the vote of fire. Okay, so this is very spiritual, and this is an omen. Okay, so it reads here, and I'm not going to read the whole article. It's not a real long article, but I'm going to read majority of it, but Lord's will, we get the precepts in between. But it says, the Russians continue to threat us with the nuclear annihilation. But why are so few people in the Western world alarmed by this? Why? Because for one thing, these people are complacent. They're in deep sleep. And social media is to blame for majority of the behaviors of the people. Okay, because when you are engaged in social media, in your work life, your love life, you're not thinking about the impending alarms and danger of this world. Okay, like it tells you in Corinthians, it says, those the man that is married cared about the things of the world and cared about how he may please his wife. Okay, and that's the spirit that the people of Babylon the Great is in. They're caring about their well-being. They're not looking into their latter end because they don't think that this can ever happen. Okay, like when the Romans went down, they didn't think they was going to go down. And when the Greeks got taken over by the Romans, they didn't think that they was ever going to go down because it was mirth. Okay, it was luxury, good times, singing and dancing and praising until the end came and overtook them. Okay, that's why the scriptures say that, hey, He's going to come upon you in your comforts, man. Because, hey, the scriptures say that people are going to be given into marriage until the flood came and took them all away. So you're going to have people that's living their daily lives, living their best life, so to speak, and then before you know it, the atmosphere is just going to go dark on them, and those missiles are going to touch down. And you got Israelites that's in this spirit, that's in a spirit of mirth, jolly, jolly, happy, happy, joy, joy. But yet the prophets have been sounding the alarm, starting with the apostles and elders, 30 plus years, man, and it trickles on down. Okay, and we've constantly been bringing out the prophecies of the MOTB, World War III, the martial law, FEMA camps, the riots, okay, the coming purge, the coming invasion of Babylon the Great. And we've been speaking on these things for a long time, so there's no excuse, all right? But it says here, why are so people in the Western world alarmed by this? But it says, I think it's because our leaders are assuring everyone that the Russians are all talk and that the odds of a nuclear war actually happening are extremely low. And that's, in a way, that's true because you have talking heads like Biden, you got Pelosi, okay, you got this guy, what's this nigga's name, Ben Carson. I'm just throwing a couple of cats out there, okay, because I'm not familiar with all those demons in Congress, but nonetheless, they're rocking you people back to sleep because every day they're giving you some folly on the news, telling you that X, Y, and Z is the case. They rather tell you about fucking cats having puppies before they tell you about impending danger. Like it came out about a year ago that Russians were prepping their citizens, okay, and telling them, look, reside in bunkers, get your bomb shelters ready because we're getting ready to go to war. Because unlike the American government, the Russians, they actually look out for their people to a certain degree or certain hierarchies within their governments. But here, man, they just gonna let you people die. Okay, like a video came out a couple of months ago this Jake woman. She was like a TV anchor woman, and she was basically going into the state of what happens in case of a nuclear devastation, telling people how to prepare. But that was the most lackadaisical, laziest, unpreparedness regime that they put out there, because she said, okay, in case of a nuclear disaster, go down to the basement, or make sure you're not outside, or make sure you're away from them. No shit, Sherlock. What that's gonna do? You know. But it says here, and reading on, it says, meanwhile, both sides just continue to take steps and escalate war in Ukraine. But it says, we are engaged in the extreme bizarre game of nuclear chicken, and both sides truly believe that one side will blink first. So we continue to creep closer to the cataclysmic nuclear conflict, and once the missiles start flying, there will be no turning back. And hey, that's the scriptures. That's in Second Esdras. It says, when an arrow from a mighty archer is shot, who can turn it back, man? So matter of fact, let me get that real quick before I go to Revelation, the 9th chapter, because they quoted it, Revelation 9. But let's get this, okay? And this is show you that they be listening to the prophets, man. They listening to us, or the Spirit of the Lord is coming upon them to know that latter end. Because the Russians, they're going down too. Okay, you're not going to survive World War III. You're going head first in slavery as well. All right, but this is the book of 2nd Esdras 16, and I'm going to start at verses... let's start at 16, and I'm going to start at verses 13. It says, for strong is his right hand that bendeth the bow. His arrows that he shooteth are sharpened, okay? And that word for arrow is really a similitude, okay? It's a similitude because this is describing the missiles, okay? Because Esdras didn't understand the concept of intercontinental ballistic missiles during the time of this prophecy, okay? So he used arrows because in the vision, that's what they look like. And arrows hit with precision and strike, depending on how good of an archer you are, okay? And if you look at a missile, it's shaped like a modern, it's technically an arrow, okay? If you want to get simple, if you want to simplify it, though the ballistics of a ICBM are way more advanced, but you get the point. Like a bullet is a fucking arrow, man. If you look at the hollow point, when you look at the tips on them, they are all designed after the mentality or the mental use of arrows, man. And that's why Esdras called it that. It says, bendeth the bow, and his arrows he shooteth are sharp, and they should not miss when they begin to be shot into the ends of the world. That's talking about nuclear war, man. Because can no one man take an archer or I don't give a damn if you Conan the Great. You ain't gonna shoot an archer missile or an archer arrow from New York City to Chicago, Illinois. You can't shoot that far. Okay, even men in the ancient world wasn't even capable of shooting across millions of miles, man. Hundreds of thousands of miles. It's impossible, because how you know you're gonna hit your target? Okay. But it says here, but behold, the plagues are sent and shall not return again till they come upon the earth. And the fire is kindled and shall not be put out till they consume the foundation of the earth. Like as an arrow which is shot of a mighty archer, return it not backwards, even so the plagues that should be sent upon the earth should not return again. And this is what this is saying. Okay, so it reads here, reading again, it says, and once the missiles start flying, and they're saying this with surety. Okay, they're speaking these things like they know this is going to happen. Why? Because it is going to happen. This is Bible prophecy. Okay, and this is the plans of the elites. But see, they don't understand that they're under the plan of the Most High. Okay, but it says, and once the missiles start flying, there will be no turning back. And that's right, because once the missile hits New York City, then they're going to retaliate. And before you know it, it's going to be a straight bloodbath of missiles flying back and forth, with America getting the worst end of it. Because in the midst of World War III, your allies are going to pretty much be against you too. So you up against every nation on this planet Earth. What you going to do with that? Nothing. Okay, and it says, I simply do not understand why our leaders are not taking Russian threats more seriously. It says the Russians warned that they would take military action in Ukraine if an agreement to avoid war could not be reached. And that is precisely what happened. Okay, and as we read, the Lord stored up the spirit of the Medes, man. Okay, to come against Babylon the Great. So this is the Lord putting his hand on the Russians, man, and the Mede with the Persians and the Medes, okay, which represents the Iranians and the Russians, to come against Babylon the Great. Because the Lord ruleth in the kingdom of men. You see? And it says, and now the Russians are repeatedly threatening us with nuclear war. And good, because that's the judgment of the Heavenly Father. But in fact, Dmitry Medvedev just warned that if the U.S. does not back down, our land will be on fire and the concrete will melt. And if the West continues with this unrestrained pumping of the Kiev regime, With the most dangerous types of weapons, Russia's military campaign will be or will move to the next level, where the visible boundaries and potential predictability of actions by the parties to the conflict will be erased, and the conflict will take on a life of its own, as wars always do, he argued. And I'm going to tell you this too, man. You American troops, you can't do a goddamn thing with the Russian military. Okay? And I'm going to tell you straightforward. The NATO military, okay, which is trained those Ukrainian troops, okay, which NATO was like the top elite of the military in the West, okay, they trained the Ukrainian troops, and they stated that that was some of their best troops that they've sent forth to fight this war, and the Russians didn't even use full firepower, and they decimated these men. So how much you think a Marine is gonna do, or a Green Beret is gonna do up against a Russian spatting ass? You're gonna get straight up a mud hole stumped in your ass, man. Because the American men is weak now, man. America lost its preeminence after World War II. Okay, these men haven't been the same ever since. Okay, it says, and then the Western nations will not be able to sit in their clean homes laughing at how carefully weakened Russia by proxy. But everything will be on fire around them, and their people will harvest their grief in full. Oh, shit. This is a war. This is rumors, man. And it says the land will be on fire and concrete will melt. And it's talking about your cities, man. Okay, because you built your cities like caves. And it says Medvedev wrote before citing a Bible verse from Revelation 9 and 18. In case you were wondering, this is what Revelation 9 and 18 says. A third of mankind, which is you Edomites, was killed by these plagues. That's the nuclear missiles. And he probably got that from watching the camps, man. Okay, and by the fire and by the smoke and by the brimstone which came out of their mouths, man. The Lord is putting a spirit on them to know, man. And this proves that we had the breakdown right. Like these niggas, man, that fell out a while ago talking about, oh, man, that ain't talking about nuclear war. Well, hey, the Most High put it on the Russians to quote it, meaning that it got to signify something. Okay, but it says, and by the fire and by the smoke and by the brimstone which came out of their mouths. And they know that this is talking about America going down. See the simp, man, Lord, it's cold. It says Medvedev also addressed the fact that the U.S. politicians don't seem to be taking Russian threats very seriously. But yet, still the narrow-minded politicians and their stupid think tanks, thoughtfully twirling a glass of wine in their hand, talk about how they can deal with us without entering into a direct war. Dull idiots with the classical education. And that's the point. You are going to have to fight this bear. Okay, ain't no ifs, ands, or buts. You're not going to be able to set up these spy military operations to go behind them to take Iran. No, man, you're going to fight this Russian, man. And you're going to fight all them other allies. So, yeah, man, this devil, man, hey, Esau, you finished, bro. Okay? So, anyway, let's stir up the spirit of the Medes. That's in Jeremiah. M-E-D. Oops. Yep, that's Isaiah 13 and 17, Salakia. All right, so this is the book of Isaiah 13, and I'm going to start at verse 17. It says, behold, I will stir up the Medes against them, which should not regard silver, and as for gold, they should not delight in it. And their bows, which is the missiles, also shall dash the young men to pieces, and they shall have no pity on the fruit of the womb, and their eyes should not spare children, right? Because those missiles ain't going to discriminate. Okay, they're not going to care if a pompous Keisha with a hair hat wig on her goddamn head is getting ready to give birth to T. She ain't gonna give a damn about giving birth to little Jody. The missiles ain't gonna give a damn about that. The missiles gonna come and smack her and that baby in her stomach. Because the Most High don't discriminate, man. And it says, and their bows also shall dash the young men to pieces, and they shall have no pity on the fruit of the womb, and their eyes shall not spare children. In Babylon, the glory of kingdoms. Okay, why? Because all the nations strive to be like Babylon. Okay, they hate it, but they want to take on a sentiment and adopt the power module behind that Babylon has adopted in the world. They want that power. They want that preeminence. And it says, and the glory of kingdoms and the beauty of the Chaldees' excellency shall be as when the Most High overthrew Sodom and Gomorrah, man. Okay, which telling you about nuclear war. All right. So call Halal Yahweh Shem Yahweh Shai, man. These are wars and rumors of wars. And hey, everything that Yahweh Shai quoted in Matthew the 24th chapter, he said false prophets, false Christ, false anointeds. Hey, we got that. We got 12 different niggas talking about that. 12 different bugged out niggas talking about that King David. Okay, you got false doctrine, false Christ. You got wars. Okay, Ukraine situation, rumor of wars, this situation escalating. Famines and pestilence, man. They're talking about truck shortages. Okay, etc. You know, the economy, the downturn, the signs that Yahweh Shai told us in Matthew 24. He said, all these are the beginning of sorrows, okay, in the gospels being preached. You see, so this is the spirit of the Lord that's moving upon the planet Earth to get this man out of here, man. And the quicker the better, okay, because we're sick and tired of you damn devils, man. All right, so this is the book of Revelation 9, and I'm going to start at verses 14. It says, and the sixth angel which had the trumpet loosed the four angels which are bound in the great river Euphrates. Okay, because you got angels with particular tasks. And I speculate and believe that those angels are talking about the four archangels. Okay, and it says, and the four angels were loosed, which were prepared for an hour and a day and a month and a year for to slay a third part of men. So this is going to go down on a specific day, a specific time, a specific year. But only the Most High Yahweh knows that. Okay, we don't know. But we are aware and hip to the signs. It says, and the number, it says to slay a third part of men, and that's you Edomites, man. Mainly here that dwell in Babylon the Great. And the number of the army of the horsemen were 200,000. And I heard a number of them, and that's talking about missiles, man. Okay, you got one nigga that's, oh, that's talking about angels. No, that's talking about the nuclear missiles. And thus I saw the horses in a vision, and them that sat on them, having breastplates of fire and jacinth and brimstone, and the heads of horses, and as the heads of lions, and out of their mouth issued fire and smoke and brimstone. Okay, and by these three was the third part of men killed by the fire and by the smoke and by the brimstone which issued out of their mouth, man. Okay, now this is not necessarily saying that all the Edomites are going to die in a nuclear war, but the third part of men is a classification of men, the sons of men, sons of the wicked, and the sons of the righteous, man, sons of God, which is us, the Israelites. Okay, but the third part of men being you Edomites, man. Okay, mainly here in Babylon the Great. You're going to get caught up in that nuclear destruction. Okay, those of you that don't die in the riots. And it says, for their powers in their mouth and their tails were like unto serpents, and their heads, and with them they do hurt. Okay, and that's the point, man. So, hey, the war is coming, brothers. Okay, and they speaking on it because, hey, this is the book of Isaiah 51, and I'm gonna start at verses let's start at verses 44. It says, and I will punish Bel in Babylon, which is an idol, okay, a particular idol and a god that Jake worship. Bel can be translated into modern day Merodach. It could be Baal, okay, Baphomet. All these particular demons that have been recalcified, or that's not the word I'm looking for, not regurgitated, but rekindled or reincarnated back into the earth under different names. It says, and I will bring forth out of his mouth that which he hath swallowed up, and the nation shall not flow unto him anymore. Why? Because the Most High is going to melt these idols. And yea, the wall of Babylon shall fall, okay? And the wall represents your protection, okay? Your defense systems, your grids and shit, your military. And it says, and my people, go ye out of the midst of her, and deliver ye every man his soul from the fierce anger of the Lord. And how do you do that? First and foremost, by doing the work, okay? Making your calling and election sure. And ultimately, if the Most High chose you, okay? The fierce anger of the Lord. Lest your heart faint, and ye fear for the rumor that should be heard in the land. And a rumor should come both 1 year, and after that another year should come a rumor, and violence in the land, ruler against ruler, okay? Which is World War III, man. Okay? So that's the point. And it says, and therefore, behold, the days come that I will do judgment upon the graven images of Babylon, and our whole land should be confounded, and all her slain should fall in the midst of her, man. All right, so, hey, the Lord is getting ready to shut this fucking place down. But anyway, with that, all praises and glory and honor that's due to Yahweh, Ba'ashim Yahweh Shai. And with that, Shalom and a Baba Ball.